All right, so let's go ahead and start parsing our JSON object here, because at this point we will have already inserted our URL, which would be this one, something like this, and we're ready to get all that data. Looking back, we know that we have this is an object, but immediately we have a cities JSON array. Okay, so that means we have to create a JSON array right away. So we're going to say JSON array cities is equal to response. Remember, this response here is this entire response, which means this whole object. All right, so response dot get JSON array, we're going to call, we're getting the cities JSON array. So we're going to paste in here. Okay. Again, we're going to have an issue here. That means we have to surround it with try and catch. Good. All right. So now we have our JSON array. The idea here is to get all of these items here. Specifically, we want to get the distance, the name, and population. Okay. We're going to say for, because this is an array, we're going to say int I is equal to 0. I is less than cities.length I plus plus. Okay, so now we are inside of our cities, so we are now getting ready to get each object, okay, inside of our JSON array. That means we have to create another JSON object here. Okay, I'm gonna call this cities object. It's going to be equal to cities dot get JSON object, and we pass in the index. When that happens, that means then we are going through the first item, the first object. So here, if we can close, see, then we go to the second one, third and fourth, and so forth. So now what we need to do is to be able to get the distance, the name, and population. We are going to add all of that into this one text view here. What we're going to do, we are going to construct a string. We're going to use the very amazing, we're going to use the string builder class. So we're going to instantiate a string builder class here called string builder. Okay, new string builder. Okay, so now we will be able to append and construct our string, and once that's all constructed, we are going to be able to then take that string and display inside of our pop list text view. So now inside we're going to say string builder dot append, and I'm going to start constructing the string. First of all, I'm going to go city, and I'm going to append right away city dot get string. I think it's called city or its name, like that. Okay, I'm gonna also append a new line, so backslash n, that means new line, and then I'm gonna append, let's say distance, a bit distance. Okay, cities has to be cities object, not cities, because that's an array. Dot get string, and it's going to be distance. So I'm just constructing here, so nothing really strange happening. And then I'm going to say population. Okay, I'm going to say plus cities object dot get string. I believe it's population. Let's make sure. Right, it's population. That's good. And we're done. So what's going to happen here is the following. Each time it goes through, so on index 0, it's going to go and get distance, name, and population, and put in a string, right? And the next iteration, going to go and get distance again, name, and population, and put in that string, and so forth, right? Now, in between these iterations, we want to add a space so that everything is organized in 3, okay? So in this case, we're just going to say string builder dot append. We're gonna put new line and another new line, just like that. Okay, so this will separate all of our data, right? So each iteration, it will be separate. It's just for the visual part of thing. Outside of our if our for statement, now we can go ahead and say pop list dot set and just pass our string builder, because it will have all of the information that we want it to have. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. We should be able, oh, it's not going to work because we have to call this inside of our method. All right, so where do we call this? So we're going to call this, obviously, because it takes a URL, we're going to call this right here, and we're going to pass our details URL. Okay, so we're calling this method inside of our get quake details, right? Because remember, the moment the quake details runs, it gets us the URL that we need to feed into get more details. Okay, so now if we go ahead and run, we should be able to get what we need. All right, there we go again. Let's go ahead and tap here. Okay, the moment we click, whoops, nothing is happening. Well, because in the back end things are happening, but the problem is we haven't actually finished up our dialog here, our alert dialog. So let's go ahead and finish that up so that we can actually see the pop-up happening. So here, what we're going to do, we are going to say dialog dot set view, right? Because we have that view that we've been creating on the top here. Right, this view which has all of these items. Okay, and now once we have that, we can go ahead and say dialog is equal to dialog builder dot create, and of course never forget to actually show it, just like that. Okay, now we'll be able to actually show a dialog with all the information that we just added. There we go, application is running. Tap, tap again, look at that, and there it is. So we have surrounding cities, city Waterville, Washington, distance is 9, population is that, and then Wenatchee. Ooh, this is close to home. This is very close to where I live. Oh wow. So close doesn't work, but of course, because it's an alert dialog, if you click anywhere else, it will close. Okay, so it's working, but we need to do some work. In fact, let's give a card view inside of our relative layout here. So we have our scroll view, card view, like that. Match parent. And let's put this all the way down here. Good, so now everything's gonna be inside of a card view, which is what we want. Let's go back and take a look. Much better, okay? Now let's give some padding around our relative layout here. Let's say padding about 25 dp. Okay, so now it's starting to look way, way better as well. What else can we do? Let's run once again and tap. Oh, much better. I like that. Now let's give it the surrounding cities. Let's perhaps give it space between the more information there. Okay, let's find our title. Just on the padding of 8 dp perhaps. Give it a run. Okay, that's good. I like that. Okay, let's get out of here. Let's go back to our maps activity here. Let's set up our dismiss and of course our web view HTML here. Let's start with our dismiss, or even before. So here we're going to say dismiss button that's set on click listener new on click listener. And what we're going to do here, we're going to say dialog dismiss. Right? Very hard, isn't it? All right, we're going to do the same with our top dismiss that's set on click listener new on click listener. I'm going to say dialog dot dismiss. Now again, you may ask, why do we have two buttons that do the same thing? Well, the reason why we do that is so that we give the users different ways to do the same thing, because some people may be running their application and they tap and they don't know what to do, right? They don't realize that you can actually tap outside. And you will notice later, because we are actually going to add a web view at the bottom here, so it's going to be a lot of text and you won't be able to say this close. That way people can just click here and it'll be able to close out of this. Just to add other options for users to be able to use if need be. Okay, in order for us to understand what's going on here I'm going to show you the full. So at the bottom here, you have this tectonic summary. For this particular earthquake, this is empty, but for some of them, we can find information. Okay, so let me find one that perhaps will have some. All right, so how about this one? Let's click on this one here. And we're gonna go down to this URL. Perfect. As you can see, for this one, we have all the cities and everything, and we have other information we can use. These coordinates here to create polygons so that we can triangulate exactly the locations. I'm assuming that's what it's for. We can do that, but we won't be doing that. So that's something you can do if you wish to do so. But what we're interested in is this text here. As you can see, it has these tags, which are HTML tags. And so we're going to use as it is, right? All of this as it is, and populate in our alert dialog. Okay, so we need to be able to get this text here. But as you've just seen, there are times when the text, or I should say the tectonic summary, is empty. So we need to account for that as well. Otherwise our application may just fail, okay, crash, and we don't want that. So what do we need to do here is be able to get this if indeed this tectonic summary has something to give us, which in this case we are just interested in this text. So we need to do that. How do we do that? Well, the first thing we need to do, we understand that the text field is actually inside tectonic summary, which is direct child of the object. So it's not inside of our city, so it's outside of the city's JSON array, which means we can just go the first object and go and get tectonic summary, and then go and get our text. So on top here, inside of our try, I'm going to go and create JSON. So right on top here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with an if statement. I'm going to say if response that has, right? So there's this method returns true or false if this response has a certain field. In this case, we want to check if indeed this one has the tectonic summary field. So I'm going to copy this and go back. If it has tectonic summary field, I'm going to say and response.getString. Just to be sure here, I'm going to get string. It's not null. So if it has tectonic summary field and that same field is not null, then we know at least we are safe for now. But there are times also that it could have tectonic summary field, but then it doesn't have text. Okay, so we need to account for that. So we're going to say inside of that if statement, we're going to create another if statement. We're going to say if, but before we do that, let's go ahead and grab our tectonic object and say JSON object called tectonic, okay, is equal to response.gets JSON string. It's going to be what? Well, the tectonic summary. Perfect. So let's grab that. So we need to put double quotes. Okay. Now that we have tectonics, we are going to say if tectonic dot has, right, field text, this one here. If that's true, that's great. But we want to also check and if tectonic that get string text is not null. Okay, we have to check if it exists, and if it does, that's great, but we also have to check whether or not it has the field string as well. If the inside of field string is not empty, it's not null, if it has something there, only then can we proceed and get our HTML text. So we're going to put all in a string. I'm going to say string text. I'm going to say tectonic.getString. It's going to be text. Right? Now that we have it, we are going to put it inside of our HTML pop, which is our web view. Now to do that, we've never done this, but it's simple. We're going to say HTML pop dot load data with base URL. Okay, so we're going to use that one. And it has a few parameters. The first thing is the URL, which in this case, we don't have a URL. We're going to say null. Okay. Next thing is the string data. Yes, we do have a string data. So we're going to say text. The next one is going to be the string MIME type. So we need to send out information that this is a text, HTML. Okay. And we need to pass encoding type, which is going to be UTF-8. And we can just pass null because we don't need anything there. Now, if we save this and give it a run, we should be able to see something real cool. Tap on one of these. Now you notice this one doesn't have, obviously, the text HTML. So, but we can close. Let's find Alaska. Alaska always has one. Let's try this one. Oh, this one doesn't have. That one didn't have either. Let's try this one, perhaps. Oh, doesn't have anything. Oh, let's find something that has something here. Ooh, this is gonna be tough. Still nothing. Still nothing. Well, let me perhaps, maybe if I send out this one, text, just like that, we should have the bottom. Let's see. In this batch, I don't think we have, it has a, let's go to constants here, summary all week. Maybe I can change. All right, so let me see. I found a new one here, perhaps the one from Venezuela. Let's click. Oh, that's a 4.7 magnitude. That's amazing. Okay, there we go. So this one has HTML. That's perfect. So you can see here now we have all the information. So we have all the cities that are around the place where this happened. And we have all this information that we are getting. A lot of text. You can go ahead and read. And we even have here a link that we can click, and of course it takes to the website. I really want to be able to show you this one here so you can see in action how it looks. Very cool indeed. Wow, this one here also has a lot of information. All right, so I'm getting distracted here because this is actually a fun application to check out and play with. Oh, how about this one? 4.8. Wow. That's pretty amazing. All over the world. Very cool. All right, you go ahead and play around with this. As you can see, the application is coming together. We've done a lot. In fact, now this application is very usable. There's a few things I would like to add. For now, you can go ahead and show it to your friends, and they're going to be very, very impressed. Your grandma too, I'm sure. Okay, all right, so I'll see you guys in the next video.